Action.
Yes.
Come around, break. Look back. Look back. What you see. Can you get that?
Yes.
Got you. Bringing you up very soon. Not yet. Almost there. Almost beautifully there.
Going forward.
Do you want to pause?
Just did for a short beat.
Okay. Industrial dimensions across the glistening light of this piece, the red.
And
Now.
return. Coming to it. And sweep.
Do something, Seth.
We'll do it for the next one.
You're getting the red leaves
Yes.
almost entirely. Not the yellow leaves, but the red of this.
No.
Can you come back this way? Are you
Oh,
okay?
it's fine. Actually,
All
let's
right.
get it warmed up now. Ready?
It is. Super.
And sweep.
Okay. Just the yellow leaves bend along. And move across. And the out, slow down.
Try to get
Yeah.
for you.
Okay. When whatever
Rolling.
shows they're into color, the big Westminster show.
Speed.
And
Like a complete. Just do along. You get the peak of that.
Yes. That's what I'm looking for now.
Very slow. Very slow and slow. Almost supposed to walk. Natural. think.
Where do you want me to stand?
As close to
That's-
him as you can.
To Tom?
To Tom.
Where?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
easier
Oh,
behind me.
yeah.
That's
Because
easier
they're
for-
tall.
yeah.
Yeah, this is easier than.
You're looking at me or? Like, why are you doing that?
That is not, yeah. I'm sorry, go to the position you recently. That camera, talking to that person, this way. The chair remains where it was. If you can swing on the chair.
What does it look like now?
In this position.
Yeah, he needs to put his arms somewhere.
You want to put it up on the chair?
Well, that, yeah,
Yeah. We need to get comfortable.
Okay, you want to prop it like that? Yeah. Yes.
am I comfortable?
Are you comfortable?
You want us to tell you?
You look comfortable.
You look comfy now. And you can move your hands anyway.
Okay.
So you're going to go try that right than that.
Yeah, I'll move around a little bit.
All right.
All right, I'm rolling.
You know the drill, so you sort of repeat. Did you go over it?
No, but I told him I'm not on air. So essentially, I'll ask you a question, and then if you sort of incorporate my question in your response. So, I started planning the Art and Embassies program, back when the Woodward Foundation, because that's how I started off. It's just asking you how you first heard about the
The
program.
audience is never going to hear the question, they're just.
It's not going to be tense and straight through.
So you want me to stand here,
Yeah,
or kneel here?
are you comfortable?
Yeah, I'm fine. No,
you should.
no, I'm fine, actually. I'll sit on the front.
Okay, rolling. Tom rolling?
Yes.
Speed, action.
So Sam, how did you first hear about the Art and Embassies program?
I first heard about the Art and Embassy program through the Woodward Foundation back in the late 60s. And in fact, work was purchased by Henry Gelsaler, who was attached to the Metropolitan Museum in New York. So that was good.
And you've been lending to the program since the beginning, and you've had 20 or 30 works in the program in the last 30 years. Is there anything you can tell us about working with the program, or?
Yes, I recall meeting artists who had actually seen my work, or actually seeing, such as in Korea, the embassy in Korea and all the work that was present there, and how that artists from that country were attached to it, or drawn. The work was special, certainly different from theirs.
Maybe we should back up and ask, and I should ask you the question. You've been to Korea and you've been to Warsaw. Korea with USIA and Warsaw with the Art and Embassies program. If you could tell us about your experience seeing your work in another country through the State Department and what that was like. Earlier you were telling me how that was such an incredible experience to be in Korea and in Warsaw and see your work. And how about the child who you said came to see your work every day in Poland?
Yes.
Talk about.
Well, first of all, an embassy is a very elegant and warm setting. I mean, even for someone who's visiting from that country, so that actually, both in Korea and in Warsaw, where that I understood that a person came to see my work every day, it was very exciting. I remember in Yugoslavia that modern work by the students were kept under their table. So when the director left, they could pull it out and show it to you. An old worn copy of art forum. So that it was like a meeting across waters, And of course is that these kind of experiences is seeing the end of your work, seeing almost the meaning. Not the meaning that you would give it while you made it, but the meaning that you saw it when someone like Longfellow, when you find a song in the heart of a friend, it's that kind of thing. I've even taught students here. Applauded, but when I went to the school and I started to hang a work very, very high, I suddenly got a message that said, "You're hanging the work too high." And I said, "Who said so?" He said, "He said so." Well, I said, "He hasn't even been down here," which meant that he had someone to tell him. So that I pointed out that if I can't hang on with high, I guess I'll go high. In a sense that you want to go someplace where it can work, but I really realized is that art wasn't art. That art was simply a means of manipulating. And that was very, very strange because there was a gallery of Maya paintings in Chile. Although he said it wasn't from Chile, but there were paintings there that he had made there. And they were so important, at least to this country. But persons were reluctant to pay attention to them. A lot of countries is the plaster cast of classical work precede the feeling that they did someone's art. It's not that. But then come American art, and it seems to not break rules, but it breaks all the rules the way that they want to see it actually done. And it goes beyond that. I think that American artists are known for success. They may not have it right, but some of them certainly are, so that wherever you go is that there's this feeling is that someone is going to follow through on what they believe in and make a success out of it. So that, such as I have a Chilean artist visiting me now, he works. He starts in the morning reading a book, and he doesn't put down the book until 2 o'clock. When I met him to bring him to my home, he had large boxes full of books and various things, literally to show the world what he was about. And we've had to chide him. No, not the first time. Show everything. But he's really beautiful in the sense is that he has created, he's built such an attitude upon the 2 American artists that we saw 2 years ago. And his work has changed, it's like turning it over. And he's worked in Cleveland. And he said he worked till 3 o'clock every morning. Gee, I wish a lot of American artists could work like that. But this is kind of a celebration that he knows that he can't have at home. And of course you end up saying is that, why don't you come here? Because I think there's something really attached to the way he works, or how smart he is. When we were there, he said, he whispered in my ear, he says, I said, why do you do this that way? He says, you see, I've never been to art school. You don't have meaning for people. But if you take the work in a sense to where someone you get right. And this certainly happened in Germany with a group of high school students that worked with me for a week. The fact is that when I had a chance to speak about the piece that I made, and I thanked them for helping me, someone said that's really great because normally children don't get appreciated. So I think that the spirit of the work, what the work is about, what the work is meant for me, how I became established there, is something that's worth sharing. And then when it is shared, it really makes you feel good. It's not so much that you're lying. It just couldn't happen if you weren't where you were from. The embassy program is a good thing because it allows each of us, American artists, to observe how many of us actually contribute and how many of us form like a nucleus, abroad, even when, although we aren't connected, here. And that I've known through friends that in other countries that artists are really heroes. If you meet a waiter in Italy and you tell him you are an artist, you'll get an extra something without having to pay for it. And that I was even in Paris, I could ride around on the truck of the art movers just simply because I was an artist and I seemed to have come across the French border from Spain with one of them. But it was really a good feeling, and I think that the Art and Embassy program helps to reinforce the status that this country has. And it does it in a way that everyone appreciates, and that's through art. That is the sense that they are through culture. It's very interesting to talk about my friend from Chile. He's not a rich kid, and he's obviously poor. His wife is you see what the light literally does. I think it's a very interesting experience. You say to yourself, I'm going to make some more. No, nobody's going to stop me.
So I don't know if you knew that the work that the ambassador and I selected of yours for the exhibition in the Vatican the theme was spirituality and art. Does that surprise you that your work would be included in an exhibition titled Spirituality and Art?
It certainly does. It does surprise me that my work would be included in a theme called Spirituality and Art. But I'm glad. Mostly I've been in shows about music and shows about color, but that's what color is about spirituality. And if you can start at the top in any instance and sort of inform them, then you're doing a good thing. So again, I'm glad.
Does anyone have any other questions? Anytime we traveled and I had work at an embassy, you were invited. Or in Korea again, we were given a reception where that we could meet the Korean women artists who were also coming to America. So that I think that one of the great things is that you found the ambassador acting in a way, as a host that introduced you to artists of another country through your work. And that was always fine to see the other artists who were selected. I think that in the embassy in Korea, Kenneth Nolan was there. I'm sure, oh, this guy makes $300,000 a work, and yet he's doing this sort of thing. So it must be meaningful. I remember the high point of all of this, I guess, was in Poland, when a young lady who told me that she had been working at the prisons, she and her husband, and that she saw what it was doing to her husband. She saw what it was doing to her husband in the presence of her child, so that she stopped, so that they could have a life. In other words, she stopped being a hostess
in the gas chambers, and said she wanted to look to the future of their life rather than to the past. And I felt that at that point, this was 1971, that there was something significant even for me, because that literally is that if I continue to dwell in the past, is that the art, in a sense, was an invitation to the future, to build that future. And I met a lot of Polish artists who sort of felt that way, that they it wasn't hiding, it was building, you know, giving something from that point on. So it was those sort of experiences that were perhaps most meaningful. None of this would have happened, I guess, without the Art and Embassy and the program, because of the beautiful catalog, the way the work was displayed, the way that biographical material was written by the best of writers, things that you weren't getting, you know, in New York. So it was interesting.
Great.
We have one.
Okay. I forgot the question.
That's okay, because it wasn't a very
It's not a real good question.
Go ahead.
We started all these new programs to not just have the art go over and be on exhibition only for certain people to visit, but to encourage the ambassador to have a reception every time, to give them a catalog, to give them a website, and for more cultural activities to happen. And I just wondered what you thought about that. Do you think that's a good thing for this Art Reach program? And to bring more artists over, not just occasionally, but try every single time there's a new exhibition to do that kind of work.
I think the idea of using websites and any other means to involve people with art, or even particularly children, is a very good idea. I think that shortly thinking about myself as an artist, which started when I was about 6 years old, and that art is in the head, and that I think I've heard even Klaus Oldenburg say that his life as an artist started when he was a child, and he's only using his life as a grown-up to administer, you know, those ideas. And I also know is that there's a battle for ideas. I know that even in this country, in Black studies, the material is very sparse, and sometimes the material has sources that you wouldn't believe from the Middle East or even from what I would call communist countries. And yet is that the whole idea is to close the mind, you know. There's no color, you know, there's only horrible pictures and various things like this. And of course you realize that through fear, a person's chances to think for themselves and to point to a bright future and a very strong future are actually being taken away. And that I grew up differently. I mean, my parent encouraged me to make art because a friend said, he's going to be an artist. And that literally is that the other support and the other strength and things like this, I mean, I actually needed. And so I think that you're really doing a wonderful thing, because that to inspire creativity. I mean, I really know that when I started even as an artist in Washington, it didn't matter that I wasn't successful or poor. I could go into the studio and make that success in a sense. And this a lot of times is what life offers, is a chance to make it successful or to make it beautiful. And that, so that I think that using websites and various things is even a faster way of doing these things. I find that also in other countries is that young people are just as interested in computers and websites as much as we are. And perhaps sometimes they have more exclusive material than we do. I mean, they don't have to compete with, I won't call the word, Walt Disney, but they have exclusive material. And that, I think that what you really have is a chance to be open and not to be advertised out of your own life. And I agree.
Whenever you're ready, talk to us about being a little boy and an artist and the whole idea of this aesthetics growing in you.
Well, my sister, who's a couple of years older than I, reminded me that she thought that I was the neatest kid because I had a studio. I mean, I actually had a corner of the room with lots of tablets, a small saw, where that if I really didn't draw it, I'd cut it out. You know, I would always have these things that I was interested in. And of course, is that this talent aided me when I grew up and was in elementary school. I always got to draw on the bulletin board, on the blackboard, at Christmas time or at other holidays. Or you got to decorate all the boards in the school. It wasn't long before I had a team. I mean, we would work and would do various things. And of course, I think that when I later taught the 6th grade or junior high school, I sort of recall those experiences that I had when I was in similar grade, and this is what I provided as if I was a special agent. And I think that I didn't have art in high school, but I enjoyed it because I had no one to interrupt or to tell me about doing things actually that I wanted to do. And I don't know that I was that good even in college, but I was sincere, so therefore is that I befriended most of my teachers and got special information. And my theory for success is knowing how to work is more important necessarily than trying to create it.